In the bustling heart of Benin City, Edo State, lived a boy named Ben, the firstborn of 6 children in the Etinosa family. His parents, Mr. Etinosa, a hardworking but struggling farmer, and Mrs. Isiosa, a diligent petty trader, did everything they could to provide for their children. Despite their poverty, they were deeply religious and raised their children with strong Christian values, instilling a sense of morality and resilience. Growing up was a constant battle for Ben and his siblings. Every day after school, they hawked their mother's goods, trekking through the crowded markets and noisy streets, calling out to potential buyers. They ran errands for their neighbors in exchange for small tips and sometimes went to bed hungry, their stomachs rumbling in the quiet of the night. Yet, despite these hardships, their parents had one unwavering dream. They would send Ben to university. Ben was a brilliant student, consistently topping his class. His teachers admired his sharp intellect, and his classmates respected him, often looking to him for guidance. When the time came, Ben passed his senior school and university entrance exams with flying colors, securing admission to study mechanical engineering at the prestigious University of Benin. At university, Ben remained focused and disciplined. He pored over his textbooks late into the night, attended church regularly, and even tutored his classmates for extra income. His lecturers were impressed by his dedication, and his fellow students admired his determination. But life, as it often does, had other plans in store for him. In his 3rd year, Ben met Victor. Victor was a direct entry student from Ogun State, exuding an air of confidence and flamboyance. Unlike Ben, who lived in a modest off-campus hostel, Victor drove expensive cars, flaunted designer clothes, and never seemed to worry about money. His presence was a stark contrast to the humble life Ben led. Victor quickly recognized Ben's intelligence and saw an opportunity. "My friend, you are very knowledgeable. I will need your help with assignments and tests," Victor said one afternoon, his trademark grin spreading across his face. Ben agreed. And in return, Victor began covering some of his expenses, paying for his textbooks, meals, and even occasional outings. Their friendship blossomed, though Ben often wondered how a fellow student could afford such luxury. One evening, after a particularly lavish party, Ben finally mustered the courage to ask, "Victor, what do you do? How do you get all this money?" Victor laughed, the sound echoing in the dimly lit room. "It's all hustle, my friend. Life on the streets isn't easy, but we survive." At first, Ben didn't press further, but curiosity gnawed at him. One day, Victor revealed the truth. He was into internet fraud, known locally as Yahoo. Ben was stunned. He had heard of internet fraudsters, but he had never imagined his best friend was one of them. "You can try it if you want to make quick money," Victor offered casually. Ben shook his head, a sense of discomfort settling in. "I'm a church-going person. I can't do that sort of thing." Victor shrugged, unfazed. "No problem. But if you ever change your mind, I'll be here." Despite their differing paths, their friendship remained strong. They graduated together, and life took them in different directions. After graduation, Ben was confronted with a harsh reality. His degree was just a piece of paper in a country where opportunities were scarce. He struggled to find a job. His NYSC year passed without any solid prospects, and 2 years later, he was still unemployed. Ben found himself back in his parents' house, burdened by their subtle reminders that he had wasted years in school. His friends had moved on. Some were married, some had started their own businesses, and others had joined the hustle. Meanwhile, Ben couldn't even afford a decent meal, his once bright future now dimmed by disappointment. One evening, after yet another fruitless day of job hunting, he sat outside, staring at his old, cracked phone. His fingers hovered over the dial pad, hesitating before making a decision. With a deep breath, he called the only person who seemed to have figured life out. "Hello, Victor. It's me, Ben. It's been years." "Ben, long time. My friend. Have you finally wised up?" Ben swallowed his pride, his voice trembling. "I'm ready to learn." There was a brief silence before Victor chuckled. "Meet me in Lagos. I will guide you. But be ready. This game is not for children." Ben had spent his whole life resisting this path. But now, it was a matter of survival versus suffering. The next morning, he packed his bags and embarked on a journey to Lagos, a city that would forever change his destiny. Lagos was a sensory overload. The relentless traffic, the cacophony of voices, the dazzling lights. When Ben arrived at the park, Victor was waiting in a sleek black Mercedes, looking even more prosperous than before. "My friend, Ben, have you finally wised up?" Victor laughed, pulling him into a tight hug. Ben managed a weak smile, unsure if he had wised up or simply given up on his principles. Victor's apartment was a luxurious penthouse in the upscale neighborhood of Lekki. From the moment Ben stepped inside, he felt like he had entered a different world. Opulent furniture, designer clothes casually strewn about, and stacks of cash lying carelessly on the table. "You will start small," Victor said, pouring them drinks. "First, you will learn how to format clients. It's not just about knowing English, you have to understand psychology. You will study people, know their weak points." Ben listened intently, absorbing every detail. Within a week, he had mastered the basics of the game. His first target, a 42-year-old woman from Texas, sent him $200. The feeling was surreal, a mix of excitement and guilt. "Forget emotions, Ben. If you don't take it, someone else will. It's what they stole from our forefathers who were slaves that we are taking back," Victor said, his tone matter-of-fact. Ben found a twisted sense of justification in Victor's words. The world was a jungle, and survival meant playing by its brutal rules. Within a month, Ben had amassed close to ₦1,000,000. He moved in with Victor, started dressing in designer clothes, and for the first time in his life, he felt powerful and invincible. But greed is a never-ending pit. The more he gained, the more he wanted, and the price of wealth was one he would soon come to understand. One night, after a successful $5,000 scam, Victor was unusually quiet. He sipped his drink, staring at the city lights. "My friend, this hustle is sweet, but you are making small money," he finally said, his voice laced with frustration. Ben frowned, confused. "Small money? $5,000 is not small money." Victor leaned in, his eyes narrowing. "Yahoo Plus." Ben felt his stomach tighten. He had heard stories, rituals, sacrifices, the dark side of internet fraud. His heart raced as he considered the implications. "No pressure," Victor continued. "But if you want to make real money, you must boost your luck." Ben hesitated. He had come far. But was he ready to cross into the supernatural?